The main cannon of the Thunder Soul released its fire. A beam of blue-white energy shot across space. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It moved faster than thought, brighter than hope, and hotter than the core of a star. The lead Valorian cruiser never stood a chance. The beam struck the enemy ship at the center of its hull. For one frozen moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the cruiser came apart. Not in pieces, not in fragments. It simply stopped existing. Metal became vapor. Vapor became nothing. Where a warship had been, there was now only empty space and glowing dust. Silence filled the bridge of the Thunder Soul. Lieutenant Beak Sunho stared at his screen. His hands were shaking. "Target destroyed," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "One shot. Complete destruction." Commander Yoon Ji-eun stood very still. She had seen many things in her career. She had never seen anything like this. Captain Park Do-hyun let out a long breath. "Chief Myray, report." The engineer's voice came over the speaker, filled with wonder. "Captain, the core is stable at 380% output. We used maybe 10% of our stored power in that shot. We have more, much more." On the Valorian flagship, Overseer Thelvan was experiencing an emotion he had not felt in over 100 years. Fear. His four eyes moved rapidly across his tactical display. One cruiser gone in a single shot. A cruiser with shields rated to survive nuclear strikes. A cruiser with a crew of 400 Valorian soldiers, erased like it had never existed. "Overseer," one of his officers said, "our sensors cannot explain what just happened. The energy output from that human ship exceeds anything in our databases. It should not be possible." "I can see that." Thelvan snapped. He gripped the arms of his command throne. His mind raced through possibilities. Retreat was unthinkable. The hegemony did not retreat from humans. The shame would destroy his career, his reputation, everything he had built. No, he would not run. He would find a way to win. All ships, spread formation, attack from multiple angles. Their cannon is powerful, but they cannot aim in every direction at once. Overwhelm them. The 11 remaining Valorian warships scattered across space. They formed a wide circle around the Thunder Soul, approaching from all sides. On the human bridge, Ji-eun studied the tactical display. They are adapting, coming at us from every angle. We cannot shoot them all before they close the distance. Do-hyun nodded. Then we adapt too. Sunho, switch to secondary batteries. Target the closest ships. Ji-yeon, keep us between them and the colony. We can still protect Harvest 7. Yes, Captain. The battle became a deadly dance. The Thunder Soul spun and turned, its smaller guns blazing in every direction. Blue fire streaked across the darkness. 2 more Valorian ships took direct hits. Their shields held, but barely. Smoke and flame poured from their wounds. But the enemy was getting closer, and they were firing back. Purple beams and missiles crashed against the Thunder Soul's shields. The ship shuddered with each impact. Warning lights flickered on every station. The air grew hot from overworked systems. "Shields at 71%, Sunho reported. "No, 68%. They are wearing us down." Chief Murray's voice came through with an edge of worry. "The core is holding, but the crew is getting tired. Emotional energy is harder to maintain under constant attack. If this goes on too long, our power will start to drop." Do-hyun looked at the tactical display. 9 enemy ships remained. 4 were damaged but still fighting. 5 were at full strength. And they were learning. They were staying mobile, spreading out, never giving the Thunder Soul a clear shot at multiple targets. "Captain," Ji-eun said quietly, "I calculate we have destroyed or crippled 4 enemy vessels. That is more than anyone expected. If we retreat now, we might survive." Do-hyun turned to look at her. His eyes were hard as iron. And the colony? Jian did not answer. She did not need to. They both knew what would happen to Harvest 7 if they ran. No retreat, Do-hyun said. We finish this. He opened a channel to the enemy fleet. Thelvan's gray face appeared on screen, now twisted with rage and confusion. You fight well, human, the overseer admitted. His voice was tight with controlled fury. Better than I expected. But you cannot win. You are one ship. We are many. Surrender now, and I will spare your crew. I will even let your colony live as slaves of the hegemony. Do-hyun smiled. It was the smile of a man who had already made his choice. Overseer, let me ask you something. Do you know why your ancestors conquered the galaxy? Why the hegemony ruled for 3,000 years? Thelvan's eyes narrowed. Because we are superior. Because we are strong. No. Do-hyun shook his head slowly. Because you believed in something. Once, long ago, your species had passion. Purpose. You did not fight just for power. You fought for ideals. But you forgot. That, did you not? Somewhere along the way, you lost your fire. You became cold, mechanical. You measure everything in numbers and odds and probability. And you think passion is better than calculation? I think passion is why my ship just destroyed your cruiser with one shot. Do-hyun leaned forward. I think passion is why your fleet is being torn apart by a single enemy. And I think you are about to learn a lesson that will echo through your history books forever. He cut the transmission. On the bridge, the crew was watching their captain with new eyes. Something had changed. The fear that had lingered in the corners of the room was gone. In its place was something like hunger, like eagerness. Chief Mireille, Do-hyun said. Status of the main cannon? Recharged and ready, Captain. Core power at 400%. The crew is. Captain, I have never seen readings like this. They believe in you. They believe in this ship. The core is nearly overloading from the strength of it. Do-hyun turned to Jian. Find me a target. The best target. Jian's fingers flew across her console. There, the heavy cruiser on our starboard flank. It is the second largest ship in their fleet. If we destroy it, their formation will have a gap. We can exploit it. Then that is our target. Do-hyun looked at Sunho. Lieutenant, aim for their heart. Sunho's fear was gone. His hands were steady on the controls. Locked on target, Captain. Fire. The main cannon blazed again. Another beam of impossible blue light crossed the void. The heavy cruiser tried to evade, but there was nowhere to go. The beam caught it across the bow and tore through like a knife through paper. The cruiser broke in half. Its engine section exploded in a ball of orange fire. Its forward section tumbled away into the darkness, dead and dark. 2 more ships lost, Sunho reported. His voice was almost cheerful now. Enemy fleet is down to 7 combat-effective vessels. On the colony below, the people of Harvest 7 watched the lights in the sky. They saw the explosions. They heard rumors pass through crowded shelter halls. One human ship was fighting the entire Valorian strike fleet. And winning. A little girl named Park Somi pressed her face against the window of her family shelter. Her mother tried to pull her back, but she refused to move. "Mommy, look," she said. "The blue star is protecting us." Her mother looked up and saw the distant flash of the Thunder Soul's cannon firing again. Tears ran down her face. "Yes, baby," she whispered. "It is protecting us." On the bridge of the Valorian flagship, Thelvan was beginning to understand something that would haunt him forever. The human ship was not fighting with technology alone. The power it displayed, the impossible energy readings, the shields that refused to break, they came from something his species had abandoned long ago. The humans were fighting with belief, with love, with the fierce, burning need to protect something precious. And against that fire, all his calculations meant nothing. The stars were quiet on the night. Everything changed. Captain Park Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the Thunder Soul, watching the endless darkness through the main window. His ship moved through space like a great metal whale swimming through an ocean of stars. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations. Screens glowed blue and green. Soft sounds of machines filled the air. The Thunder Soul was not like other ships. It was the first of its kind. Deep inside its heart sat something called a resonance core. This strange technology took the feelings of the crew and turned them into power. When the crew was afraid, the ship grew weak. When the crew was united and brave, the ship became stronger than anything in the galaxy. No one really understood how it worked. Chief Engineer Kwon Mi-rae had helped build it, and even she called it a mystery. But it worked. That was enough. Do-hyun was a tall man with gray at his temples and calm eyes that had seen too many battles. He was 53 years old. He had served in the Earth Fleet for 30 years. He had watched humanity spread across 17 colony worlds. He had also watched as the older species of the galaxy looked down on humans like they were children playing in a sandbox. The Valorian hegemony was the worst. 4 ancient species working together, ruling hundreds of worlds for 3,000 years. They saw humans as insects. Useful sometimes. But insects all the same. Do-hyun did not hate them for it. Hate was a waste of energy. But he did not forget it either. Commander Yoon Ji-yeon walked up beside him. She was his first officer, a woman in her early 40s with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. Her black hair was cut short, military style. She moved like a cat, quiet and always aware. "Captain," she said, "we are 4 hours from the Kepler frontier. Routine patrol continues as planned." Do-hyun nodded. "How is the crew?" "Bored," Ji-yeon said with a small smile. "Patrol duty is not exciting, but they are ready if needed." "Good. Boredom is better than—" The communication station behind them suddenly lit up with red lights. Lieutenant Baek Sun-ho, the young weapons officer, turned in his chair with wide eyes. "Captain, we are receiving a distress signal." Do-hyun was at the station in 3 steps. "Source?" "Harvest 7, sir." "The mining colony." Sun-ho's fingers flew across his screen. "The signal is weak. Heavy interference. But I can make out some words." He pressed a button. Static filled the bridge. Then a voice came through, broken and afraid. "This is Harvest 7. Under attack. Valorian ships. They are demanding, please. 40,000 people. They will kill us all. Anyone. Please, help." The signal died. Silence fell on the bridge. Every officer had stopped moving. Every face had gone pale. Ji-yeon spoke first. "Harvest 7 is 3 hours away at maximum speed. We would be the first to respond. And the only ones," Do-hyun said quietly. "The nearest fleet support is 18 hours away, sir." Sun-ho looked up at him. 40,000 people. There are children on that colony. Families. Do-hyun knew this. He knew all of it. He also knew that the Thunder Soul was one ship. If there was a Valorian strike fleet at Harvest 7, they would be facing impossible odds. He thought of his daughter. She lived on Earth now, safe and far away. But she could have been on a colony like Harvest 7. Anyone's daughter could be there. Anyone's son. Anyone's mother or father. "Set course for Harvest 7, he said. "Maximum speed." Ji-yeon did not hesitate. "You heard the captain. Move." The ship turned. The engines roared to life with new power. The Thunder Soul shot forward like an arrow aimed at the heart of danger. 3 hours passed like 3 years. Do-hyun used the time to prepare. He called all senior officers to the bridge. Chief Engineer Kwon Mi-rae came up from the engine room, her hands still dirty with grease. She was a small woman with large glasses and hair that was always messy. But her mind was brilliant. She understood the resonance core better than anyone alive. "How is the core?" Do-hyun asked her. "Stable," Myray said. "But Captain, if we enter battle, I need to warn you. The core responds to the crew. If they panic, if they lose hope, the power output will drop. We could lose weapons. We could lose shields. And if they are brave..." Myray pushed her glasses up her nose. "Then we might see things the textbooks say are impossible." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Good to know." The final hour came. Sunho announced that they were entering the Harvest 7 system. The main screen flickered, then showed what waited for them. Do-hyun felt his stomach turn cold. 12 Valorian warships hung in space above the colony. They were shaped like curved blades, dark purple and covered with weapons. Each one was larger than the Thundersoul. Together, they had enough firepower to crack a planet, and in the middle of them sat the flagship. It was twice the size of the others. Its name was written in Valorian symbols, but Do-hyun did not need to read it. He knew who commanded it. Overseer Thelvan, a name whispered with fear across human space. "They have seen us," Sunho reported. His voice shook slightly. "They are scanning us." The communication station beeped. An incoming message. Jian looked at Do-hyun. "Do we answer?" "Yes. Let them see our faces." The screen changed. A Valorian appeared. Thelvan was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. His mouth was small and cruel. He wore robes of dark red, the color of dried blood. "One ship," Thelvan said. His voice was like stones grinding together. "The humans send one ship." "How amusing. I am Captain Park Do-hyun of the Earth vessel Thundersoul. You are attacking a civilian colony under human protection. Withdraw immediately." Thelvan laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Protection? You protect nothing. You own nothing. These mining rights belong to the hegemony now. Your 40,000 insects will accept our rule, or they will die. And you, little human, will watch." Do-hyun kept his face calm. Inside, his heart was burning. "Those are our people. They are nothing. You are nothing. Your entire species is a mistake of evolution. You came to the stars too soon. You built ships you do not deserve. You dream of greatness you will never achieve." Thelvan leaned closer to the screen. "Leave now, and I will let you live. Stay, and I will add your wreckage to my collection." Do-hyun said nothing for a long moment. He looked at Jian, at Sunho, at Myray, at every officer on the bridge. He saw fear in their eyes, but he also saw something else, something harder, something that refused to break. He turned back to the screen. "Overseer Thelvan, you have made a terrible mistake. You have threatened our people. You have insulted our species. And you have underestimated what we are willing to do to protect what we love." Thelvan's 4 eyes narrowed. "Is that a threat?" Do-hyun smiled. It was not a kind smile. It is a promise. He cut the transmission. The bridge was silent. 12 enemy ships. 40,000 lives. One chance. Do-hyun turned to his crew. "Battle stations. We fight." The alarm rang through every corridor of the Thundersoul. Red lights flashed on every deck. Crew members ran to their stations. Gunners loaded weapons. Engineers checked power lines. Medics prepared for the wounded that would surely come. Captain Park Do-hyun stood at the center of it all, calm as a stone in a river. "Shield status?" he asked. "Full power," Sunho reported. "But Captain, against 12 ships, our shields will not last long. Then we make every second count." Do-hyun looked at the tactical screen. 12 enemy vessels surrounded the colony like wolves around a wounded deer. The colony itself sat on the planet below, a small city of domes and towers where 40,000 humans lived, worked, and dreamed of futures they might never see. Commander Yoon Jian stepped up beside him. Her face was hard, but her eyes were bright with thought. She was already calculating, already planning. "Captain, I have an idea." "Formation Echo." Do-hyun raised an eyebrow. "That is a defensive formation. For protecting convoys." "Yes, we position ourselves between the enemy fleet and the colony. We become a shield. They cannot fire on Harvest 7 without going through us first. That also means we absorb every attack they make." Jian met his eyes. "Yes, it does." Do-hyun thought about it for 3 seconds. Then he nodded. "Do it." The Thunder Soul moved. It slid through space with surprising grace for such a large vessel, positioning itself directly in the line of fire. The planet Harvest 7 was now behind them. The Valorian fleet was ahead. On the enemy flagship, Overseer Thelvan watched with amusement. His 4 eyes blinked one at a time as he studied the human ship. "They put themselves between us and the target," one of his officers said. "Why would they do this?" "One ship cannot protect a planet." "Because they are fools," Thelvan replied. "Emotional, stupid fools. They think bravery matters. They think sacrifice has meaning. They are wrong. All that matters is power. And we have more." He raised one thin hand. "All ships, prepare to fire. Let us show these humans what happens to those who stand against the hegemony." Back on the Thunder Soul, Chief Engineer Kwan Mai-Ray was running through the lower decks. She burst into the resonance core chamber, a vast room at the heart of the ship. In the center sat the core itself, a sphere of crystal and metal that glowed with soft blue light. The core was the secret of the Thunder Soul. It was connected to sensors throughout the ship that measured the emotional state of every crew member. Fear made the light dim. Courage made it bright. And when the crew was truly united, truly fighting for something they believed in, the core could produce power that broke the laws of physics. Mai-Ray checked her instruments. The readings were normal. Slightly elevated fear, which was expected. They were about to fight 12 warships. Any sane person would be afraid. She opened the ship-wide communication channel. Her voice reached every corner of the vessel. "This is Chief Engineer Kwan Mai-Ray. I know you are all scared. I am scared too. But I need to tell you something about this ship. About how we work." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "The resonance core does not care how many enemies we face. It does not care about the odds. It only cares about us. About what we feel. About what we believe. When we are afraid and divided, we are weak. But when we stand together, when we fight for something real, we become stronger than any weapon ever built." In the gun batteries, soldiers stopped loading shells to listen. In the medical bay, nurses paused over their supplies. On the bridge, even Captain Do-hyun turned his head to hear. 40,000 people are counting on us," Mai-Ray continued. "Families, children, people who just want to live their lives in peace. The Valorians think we are nothing. They think humans are weak. But we know the truth, do we not? We know what we do when someone threatens our home. We know what we become when our backs are against the wall." The blue light of the resonance core flickered. Then it began to grow brighter. "So I am asking you now, not as your engineer, as your shipmate, as your friend. Think of why you are here. Think of who you are protecting. Think of your families, your friends, the people you love. Hold them in your hearts, and let the core feel what we are made of." Throughout the ship, something changed. The fear did not disappear, but it became smaller. And something else grew larger. Determination, love, the fierce, burning need to protect. A young gunner named Han Yuna closed her eyes. She thought of her little brother back on Earth. He was only 12. He sent her video messages every week. She would not let him grow up in a galaxy where the strong could simply take what they wanted. An old engineer named Cho Min-ho gripped his tools tighter. He thought of his wife, buried on a colony world 20 years ago. She had always believed in humanity. She had always said they would become something great. He would prove her right. On the bridge, Lieutenant Beek Sun-ho thought of nothing but the colony below. He had never been to Harvest 7. He did not know anyone there. But they were human. They were his people. And that was enough. The resonance core blazed. Blue light filled the chamber until Mireille had to shield her eyes. Her instruments screamed warnings that made no sense. Power levels climbing past safe limits. Past theoretical limits. Past everything they thought was possible. She opened the channel again, her voice shaking with excitement. "Captain, the core is reading 200% power output. No, wait, 250%. Still climbing." On the bridge, Do-yoon allowed himself a small smile. Good. The Valorian fleet opened fire. 12 ships released their weapons at once. Beams of purple energy sliced through space. Missiles with nuclear warheads raced toward the Thundersoul. Enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Brace for impact." Jian shouted. The attacks hit. The ship shook like a toy in a giant's hand. Lights flickered. Metal screamed. But the shields held. Sun-ho stared at his screen in disbelief. Shields at 94%. "Captain, that attack should have destroyed us." "How is this possible?" "The core," Marie's voice came over the speaker. "Power output is at 300%. Still climbing." "Captain, the crew's doing it. They are powering us with their hearts." Delvam watched from his flagship. For the first time, his expression changed. Confusion replaced arrogance. "How?" he demanded. "That ship should be dust. Fire again. All ships, fire again." Another barrage struck the Thundersoul. And another. The ship rocked and shuddered. But it did not break. On the bridge, Do-hyun gripped his command chair. His knuckles were white, but his voice was steady. "Sun-ho, what is our weapon status?" The young officer checked his readings 3 times. Then he looked up at his captain with wide eyes. "Captain, weapons are charged to 340% of theoretical maximum." "The core." "It is singing." Do-hyun nodded slowly. The ship was alive with power. Power born from love and courage and the simple, fierce desire to protect. "Then let us answer them," he said. "Target the lead cruiser. Prepare the main cannon." Jian looked at him. "Sir, at this power level, I do not know what the cannon will do." "Neither do I." Do-hyun sat straight in his chair. "But I think our friends out there are about to find out." The Thundersoul turned its great weapon toward the enemy. Blue light gathered at the barrel, brighter than a star, and on the colony below, 40,000 people looked up at the sky and watched their single defender prepare to strike back against the darkness. The battle had been raging for 2 hours now. The Thundersoul was hurt. Captain Park Do-hyun could feel it in the way the ship moved, in the groans of stressed metal, in the flicker of lights that never quite stayed steady. Damage reports flooded the bridge like a river of bad news. "Hull breach on decks 7, 9, and 12. Commander Yoon Jiun read from her screen. Her voice was calm, but her face was pale. "Fire suppression teams have contained the damage. Medical reports 37 confirmed dead. Over 100 wounded. 37. The number hit Do-hyun like a fist to the chest. 37 of his crew would never see home again. 37 families would receive the worst message of their lives. But he could not mourn now. Not yet. The battle was not over. Enemy fleet status? he asked. 7 ships remain, Lieutenant Beek Sanho reported. But Captain, 5 of them are now at full strength. They called in reinforcements from a nearby patrol. Fresh ships with fresh crews. Fresh ships? Do-hyun closed his eyes for a moment. The Thunder Soul had been fighting for hours. Its shields were at 34%. Its hull was torn in a dozen places. Its crew was exhausted, running on nothing but will and adrenaline. And now they faced 5 new enemies on top of the 2 survivors from the original fleet. The communication station beeped. Another incoming message. Thelvon appeared on screen. The Valorian overseer looked different now. His arrogance was gone. In its place was cold, calculating hatred. You have fought well, human captain. Better than any enemy I have faced in 50 years. But it is over. Look at your ship. You are dying. Your shields are failing. Your crew is bleeding. And I have fresh warriors ready to finish what we started. Do-hyun said nothing. He waited. I am offering you one final chance, Thelvon continued. Surrender now. Lower your shields. Let my soldiers board your vessel. I will take you prisoner. Your crew will become slaves. But you will live, and your colony will be spared destruction. I will merely take what is mine, the mining rights, and leave. On the bridge, Ji-yeon shook her head. Sunho gripped his console with white knuckles. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Kwon Mi-rae was watching through a damaged camera, blood dripping from a gash on her forehead. Do-hyun looked at his crew. He saw their faces, tired, wounded, afraid, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. He turned back to the screen. Overseer, let me tell you something about humans. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the oldest. We do not have the best technology or the largest fleets. But we have something you will never understand. And what is that? We do not stop. Do-hyun leaned forward. When we are hurt, we fight harder. When we are outnumbered, we fight smarter. When you push us to the edge, when you threaten what we love, we become something you have never seen before. We become the storm that never ends, the fire that never dies, the thunder that echoes forever. He smiled, and there was blood on his teeth from where he had bitten his lip. You want my surrender? Come and take it. He cut the transmission. The Valorian fleet attacked. 7 ships poured fire into the Thunder Soul. The ship screamed as new wounds opened in its hull. Explosions rocked every deck. Crew members were thrown from their feet. Systems failed across the board. Shields at 12%. Sunho shouted. Captain, we cannot take much more. Then we stopped taking. Do-hyun grabbed the command chair as the ship lurched again. Ji-yeon, find me a path to the enemy flagship. If we are going down, we are taking Thelvon with us. Ji-yeon's fingers danced across her console. I have a solution. But Captain, it requires us to fly straight through their formation. We will absorb hits from every ship they have. Can we survive long enough to reach the flagship? Ji-yeon hesitated. Then she met his eyes. Maybe, if the crew gives everything they have left. Do-hyun opened the ship-wide channel. All hands, this is your captain. I will not lie to you. We are badly hurt. We have lost friends today. We have bled and burned for this colony. And I am asking you to give more. Everything you have left. Everything you are. He paused. In every corner of the ship, wounded soldiers and exhausted engineers stopped to listen. In a few moments, we are going to charge the enemy flagship. We are going to fly straight into the heart of their formation. It will hurt. Some of us may not survive. But if we can reach that flagship, if we can fire one perfect shot, we can end this battle. We can save Harvest 7. We can show the galaxy what humans are made of. In the resonance core chamber, Myray watched the glowing sphere. Despite everything, despite the damage and the death and the exhaustion, the core was still bright, still alive with the feelings of the crew. "I am not ordering you to do this," Do-hyun continued. "This is beyond orders. This is a choice. We can surrender. We can live as prisoners, as slaves, and let the Valorians take what they want. Or we can fight. One last time. One last charge. For everyone we love. For everyone who is counting on us." Silence stretched across the ship. Then, from somewhere deep in the engine room, a voice began to sing. It was an old song, a human song, about sailors facing a storm at sea. Another voice joined. Then another. On the gun decks, soldiers took up the song. In Medical Bay, wounded crew members sang through their pain. On the bridge, Lieutenant Sunho started humming, then singing, his young voice strong and clear. The resonance core blazed. Its light flooded the chamber until Myray could barely see. Her instruments showed numbers that should not exist. 500% power. 550%. Still climbing. "Captain," she called over the channel. "The core is overloading. But it is not breaking. It is singing with them. With us. I think it is ready." Do-hyun felt tears on his face. He did not wipe them away. "Helm, set course for the enemy flagship. All power to forward shields and main cannon." The Thunder Soul turned toward its final target. The Valorian fleet opened fire. Every ship released everything it had. The space between the fleets became a wall of purple fire and nuclear light. The Thunder Soul flew straight into it. Shields shattered. Hull plates were torn away. Entire sections of the ship went dark. But still it came. Still it pushed forward. Still, the singing continued through speakers that were failing, through corridors that were burning. 300 kilometers to target. Sunho shouted, "Weapons ready?" "Main cannon is charged beyond any known limit, Captain. I do not know what will happen when we fire." Do nodded. "Then let us find out together." The flagship loomed ahead. Thelvan's vessel, the command ship of the entire strike fleet. On its bridge, the overseer watched the dying human ship approach with something close to horror. Fire. Keep firing. Why will they not die? But the Thunder Soul was beyond dying now. It was beyond physics. It was running on pure human spirit, on love and sacrifice and the absolute refusal to let the darkness win. The distance closed. 100 kilometers. 50. 20. The Thunder Soul positioned itself point-blank against the flagship. So close that the two vessels almost touched. Do-hyun looked at his crew one last time. His family. His friends. The bravest people he had ever known. "For Harvest 7, he said quietly. "For Earth, for everyone." He gave the order. Fire. The universe held its breath. The main cannon of the Thunder Soul released its final strike. At point-blank range, with the resonance core overloading from the combined will of every soul on board, the weapon produced something that defied description. A beam of pure, concentrated human spirit wrapped in enough energy to crack a small moon. Overseer Thelvan had exactly 1 second to understand his mistake. Then his flagship ceased to exist. The explosion was visible from the surface of Harvest 7. 40,000 people looked up and saw a new sun born in their sky, blue and white and beautiful. It lasted for 5 heartbeats, then faded into darkness and drifting debris. The remaining Valorian ships stopped firing. For a long moment, nothing moved in the void. The 6 surviving enemy vessels hung in space like animals that had forgotten how to run. Their commander was dead. Their flagship was gone. And the human ship, the impossible human ship, was still there, wounded, burning, but alive. One by one, the Valorian captains made the same choice. They broadcast surrender signals and turned their ships away. Their engines flared as they retreated toward the edge of the system, fleeing back to hegemony space. On the bridge of the Thunder Soul, nobody moved. Captain Park Do-hyun sat in his command chair, staring at the screen where the enemy fleet was disappearing. His hands were trembling. His chest hurt from breathing smoke. Blood ran from a cut above his eye, but they had won. Enemy fleet in full retreat, Lieutenant Baek Sung-ho reported. His voice cracked halfway through the sentence. We did it, Captain. We won. Commander Yoon Ji-yeon put a hand on Do-hyun's shoulder. She did not say anything. She did not need to. The tears running down her face said everything. Then Do-hyun did something he had not done in 30 years of service. He closed his eyes and let himself cry. Chief Engineer Kwon Murray's voice came over the speaker, weak but filled with wonder. Captain, the resonance core is stable. Power output is dropping back to normal levels. But the readings we recorded... Sir, I have data here that will rewrite every physics textbook in human space. What we did today should have been impossible. Nothing is impossible, Do-hyun said quietly. Not for us. Not anymore. The Thunder Soul limped toward Harvest 7. Its engine sputtered and coughed. Smoke trailed from a dozen wounds in its hull. Entire sections of the ship were dark, open to the vacuum of space, but it flew. Emergency teams from the colonies scrambled to meet them. Medical shuttles launched from the surface. Communication channels flooded with voices asking if the Thunder Soul needed help, offering supplies, offering everything they had. Do-hyun gave control of the ship to Ji-yeon. Then he stood, slowly, painfully, and walked to the main window below him. The colony was still there. Lights flickered in the domes. People moved through the streets. Children played in the parks, safe and alive, because one ship and one crew had refused to run 40,000 people. He did not know any of them, but he would have died for every single one. The Thunder Soul touched down on the outskirts of the colony an hour later. Its landing was rough. Its hull groaned as it settled onto the landing pad. But it was home. For now, it was home. When the main hatch opened, Captain Do-hyun was the first to step outside. The crowd hit him like a wave. Thousands of colonists had gathered around the landing pad. When they saw him, when they saw the worn face and tired eyes of the man who had saved them, they surged forward. Hands reached out to touch him. Voices shouted thanks. Children threw flowers that they had picked from the colony gardens. An old woman grabbed his hand and would not let go. Tears streamed down her wrinkled face. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Do-hyun did not know what to say, so he just held her hand and nodded behind him. The rest of the crew emerged. Ji-yeon, Sun-ho, Mai-rae with a bandage wrapped around her head. The gunners and engineers and medics and every soul who had sung their hearts. Out in the darkness, the colonists welcomed them all. In the days that followed, news of the battle spread across human space. The story was told in every colony, every station, every ship. One vessel against 12. One crew against impossible odds. A victory that should not have happened. And then the story spread further. Alien species began to hear the tale. At first, they did not believe it. The Valorians were mighty. They did not lose to single ships. But the evidence was undeniable. The retreat of the strike fleet. The death of Overseer Thelvan. The survival of Harvest 7. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Valorian hegemony sent diplomats to human space. Not to demand. Not to threaten. To ask for peace. Other species took notice. The quiet humans, the young species who had seemed so weak, had beaten one of the great powers of the galaxy in open battle. Perhaps humans were not insects after all. Perhaps they were something far more interesting. On Earth, the story became legend. Children acted out the battle in schoolyards. Artists painted the Thunder Soul blazing through enemy fire. Musicians wrote songs about Captain Park Do-hyun and his brave crew. But for Do-hyun himself, the fame meant nothing. 1 year after the battle, the Thunder Soul was finally repaired. Not just repaired, upgraded. Its wounds had been healed, its systems improved. It was ready to fly again, and it was not alone. Do-hyun stood on the bridge as 12 new Resonance-class battleships formed up alongside his vessel. The Earth fleet had learned from Harvest 7. They had built more ships like the Thunder Soul. Ships powered by human heart. Ships that grew stronger when their crews believed. "All ships reporting ready, Captain," Jaeon said. She was still at his side, as she had always been. "Course is set. We are ready to depart." Their patrol route took them past Harvest 7. As the fleet approached the colony, a communication signal came through. "This is Harvest 7 colony control to Thunder Soul fleet. We see you out there." Do-hyun smiled and opened his channel. "Harvest 7, this is Thunder Soul. We see you too. We wanted to say something. All 40,000 of us. We voted on it. Go ahead." There was a pause. Then a new voice came through. A young voice. A child's voice. "Thank you for coming back." Do-hyun's eyes grew wet. Around him, his bridge crew wiped their own eyes and tried to pretend they were not crying. "We always will," Do-hyun said softly. "No matter what happens. No matter who threatens you. Humanity will always come. That is what we do. That is who we are." The fleet passed over the colony, 13 great ships casting shadows across the domes below. In those domes, people stopped to look up. Children pressed their faces against windows. Old men and women remembered the day the sky had burned with blue fire, and they were not afraid anymore, because they knew the truth now. The whole galaxy knew. Humans were not the oldest species, not the strongest, not the most advanced, but they were something more important. They were protectors, guardians, the ones who would stand between darkness and light, between fear and hope, between death and life. The Thunder Soul flew on into the endless stars. Behind it, 12 sister ships followed in perfect formation, and somewhere in the depths of space, in the halls of ancient empires and young civilizations alike, beings of 100 different species heard the story and whispered the same words. The humans are coming, and the humans never stop.